Ryan Westbrook here at AWS reInvent with GeekWire Studios. We're chatting with Capital One's Nima Vadiee. Nima is the MVP of Customer Architecture and Enablement, and my first question to you is, what does that mean? What do you do?
We're some small team, basically like all the technical functions within go-to-market. Customer engineering, customer enablement, basically helping customers understand their problems and helping them actually enable and use our software capabilities, all the way from pre-sales to supporting them once the software is embedded in their stack.
So Nima, I'm going to ask you, I feel like cost optimization is a big topic. Obviously economies are being tough and companies are really looking out for the bottom line. How do you balance cost and performance?
Yeah, absolutely. It is a very relevant and timely topic, and it has been for a while, but the reality is that we've gotten to the point where, infinite budgets and, we're not at the point where these things are just going unchecked. And the reality is that, if it's striking the right balance between cost and performance it's a nuanced thing. And moving the journey into the cloud creates tons of data, tons of compute, tons of opportunity to innovate. But obviously left unchecked, it can get away from you. And then the right approach is understanding, what the right use cases and what the right nuances and challenges are, and giving your teams visibility into the cost and giving them the right levers in order to address, opting for performance where it's needed and opting for cost optimization where that's more appropriate.
You mentioned some of this a little bit ago. I want to highlight what would be your top two best practices for balancing the difference between cost and performance.
Yeah, absolutely. You have to keep in mind, we're approaching this from the lens of data warehousing solutions. That's the lens that this product is focused on. Cloud optimization as a whole is a much hairier topic. But for data warehouse optimization in particular, it really comes down to there's three main best practices that we found in our own time of practice. The first one being just taking a federated approach. And what that really means is enabling your teams to actually not be a bottleneck for the teams in their innovation, giving them the right levers, giving them the right visibility into what they're spending, how they're spending, and letting them actually turn the knobs and with the right governance, controls, and mitigations in place. That's been what we've done at Capital One. It's how we've enabled 6,000 plus analysts to actually access data. And it's how we continue to innovate in a number of different areas. The second one is just understanding how to optimize and write queries the right way. It seems like a no-brainer. You should write your queries in an efficient, effective way, but I think that the practices that we had in the pre-cloud era didn't quite translate as well, obviously, in the new era. And just taking simple approaches and some of the human-written queries, using AI and ML to actually improve and optimize the length and the duration of those queries can save quite a bit of money. If you're good with it, I'll give you a third one actually as well. And that really comes down to using the right-sized resources for the use case that you're actually applying. And that sounds like a no-brainer as well, but you'd be surprised how more often than not, customers almost out of an anxiety of, am I not going to have enough compute, enough resources to approach the problem? I need to make sure I'm using the largest warehouse, or this is business sensitive, or I just want to make sure I'm not, queries aren't failing, jobs aren't failing. The reality is that you don't need maximize Excel warehouses for every scenario. You don't need a Ferrari, for instance, to go to the grocery store. Sometimes you just need a small little beater just to get you there. And in similar fashion for warehouse optimization, knowing what size warehouse you need for what period of time, what time of day, what type of job, all that matters. And it makes sense, and it's doable in small chunks. It can become a little bit hairy and unpredictable when you're dealing with just huge, vast amounts of data, thousands of queries across thousands of different people. That's where tools like Slingshot, which we'll talk about, really help you identify and turn the right knobs and levers to right-size those warehouses.
So we've identified the scope of the problem. You've kind of given us an example of what you've done within Capital One. I want to kind of talk about how you've then made that available to your customers in a product that is called Slingshot. You referred to that a little bit ago. But before I do, I have to ask, what is the biggest barrier you see when customers, are they reluctant, maybe this is a better question, are they reluctant to optimize their warehouses, or are they thinking, I need that safety net of a giant data warehouse to store everything I could possibly pack right away there? Do they need that buffer, and how do you explain to them that optimization is the way to go?
I mean, I think that there is a reluctancy. There's not the person that's actually writing the check, managing the data. They have no problem with it.
Their cost,
they're
right?
all about optimization.
Yeah.
But the individual business users, the individual lines of businesses, that can become a little bit more challenging. And I think part of it comes down to education, understanding, helping them understand how to pick the right resources for the right use case, giving them the control and the visibility to know that, hey, just even this job that you're running, it's not going to fail. Here's how you can keep track of it. Here's how we know what you need in this scenario. Giving the right insight into it. That makes a big difference. But at the end of the day, I think that a lot of it comes down to just seeing it in practice over time, seeing the results, getting the same business results with a fraction of the cost is really the ultimate end goal that it convinces them in the long run.
I got that. I love that. And it feels like there are companies that have started to do something. Say, for example, they've started to sell books, and they learned how to sell books at scale, and they built a system that sells books, and then they think, gosh, we could really help other companies with their cloud infrastructure. It sounds like there's something a little bit similar happening at Capital One, where you've learned how to optimize your own cloud workloads and your own data storage. How have you been taking that out to the masses through a product called Slingshot?
Yeah, your example is very relevant for where we are. And that's it. Honestly, it fits perfectly. It's like Capital One has been on this journey for more than a decade now, right? One of the largest institutions to be all in the cloud, and one of the first big bank to be all in the cloud. And along the way, we purpose-built a whole multitude of different tools and applications to help us with the challenges that would come up along the way. And a lot of it was purpose-built because we needed it and because it just didn't exist in the market. And so, bringing some of those tools and expertise and packaging them up as commercialized software was like a no-brainer, natural evolution for us. So, and Slingshot is a tool that we built internally to help us really get the most visibility into our Snowflake usage, the right levers and controls for how that Snowflake is actually scaling up across the company. It helps us reduce waste, reduce inefficiencies, maximize our time to value, and ultimately, this, again, going back to the federated approach, enables and empowers individual teams across the company to make the right decisions and understand how the choices that they're making actually impact and drive the ultimate bill that we're seeing at the end of the month, and ensure that they're getting the right outcomes with their Snowflake.
But with that reassurance that we talked about earlier, that they're making the right decisions, that they're not compromising on compute or performance or load times, that they can kind of optimize that, but also have that reassurance. So kind of have the best of both worlds, if you will. Tell me how Slingshot differs from other optimization solutions that are out there. I mean, you look around us, there are dozens. Yeah. How does Slingshot differentiate itself in the market?
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, it's a very common problem, right, across cloud costs as a whole. So there is a multitude of different approaches. For us, Slingshot, again, this is built out of our own, love, pain, blood, sweat, tears. And I can't speak to every solution out there in the market, but what kind of makes us, I think, qualified for this is that we've purpose-built this for large enterprises, adopting Snowflake, scaling it out across thousands and thousands of users, petabytes, more than 50, 60 petabytes of data at scale, and actually being able to see results and efficiencies in practice. To this day, we're actually using Slingshot, the production version, in Capital One. As we go along, we're refining it, optimizing it, and building new features and functionality as Snowflake evolves. Continuing to make sure that it meets the needs of Snowflake, everything from the Snowflake analyst to the DBA and the admin that's managing the environment, to the CFO who's concerned about the bottom line and the costs that associated with it.
So certainly great for both your internal customers and your external partners that you're sharing this with. Lots of great things coming out of the Capital One software team. What can we expect in the future? What's next? What's on the horizon?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you think about the challenges that companies face as they're trying to scale their data journey in the cloud, when you think about things like data publishing, data consumption, data governance, infrastructure management, all those pieces, we've been through all of that. We've built tools and solutions all along the way to address those challenges and needs, and we'll continue to evaluate where it makes sense to bring some of these to market. And we've been overwhelmed by the reception and the kind of the response from the customers that we work with, as I think that it gives us quite a bit of credibility. They know that we're doing this because we've been there, and so that mixture of almost like this kind of consultative approach that we take with each customer, it's been heartwarming and reassuring to see that there is a need for these solutions, even though there is a whole multitude out there. We kind of have the street cred, if you will.
Yeah, and certainly a recognizable brand, someone that we associate with trust and security. To be able to take a product internally and then to be able to release it to the world, your team has to be very proud of that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's not an easy feat. It's taken quite a bit of time and energy resources, but it's technology is at the core of everything that we do at Capital One. It's a very tech-centric company, and there's just there's a real support system for fostering innovation, and getting the actual cool tech out there in the wild has been not the hard part, I should say.
Yeah, that's awesome, and a great conversation, great stuff. I look forward to seeing what else comes out of the Capital One software team. We'll definitely be watching, and we appreciate you watching. That was my conversation with Nima Vadiee. He's with Capital One. I'm Brian Westbrook. Thanks for watching.